about this. I mean, we'll try and get somebody, but first we need to go over the CNMI, where they had some developments, very tragic developments yesterday. Tomas Manglona is on the line. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Christopher.
Hi.
Hi. So I just want to share some of the latest. As was reported in last night's newscast, the CNMI is mourning its second COVID-19 related death. It's of a 77-year-old female CNMI resident, according to the CNMI governor. The patient had underlying medical conditions, and the deceased individual was seen at the Saipan Hospital on March 28th and admitted to the hospital where she was closely monitored. As of 5:30 p.m., there are still 8 confirmed cases, including those 2 deaths, and local media are reporting 10 pending results from off island. And some news on the economic front: the government is under pressure with the economic impact of the coronavirus. The Director of Personnel Management yesterday sent a letter to all department heads offering guidance on termination and furlough action for accepted service employees and civil service employees to reduce government personnel costs by 50%. In this letter, they estimate that the fiscal year 2020 budget for the CNMI is expected to be reduced by 48%. A listing of those terminated and furloughed employees is expected to be delivered anytime today. This news comes as the Department of Labor plans to implement the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance under the CARES Act. Me and Chris will also be speaking with the hospital CEO, Esther Munya, at 11 a.m. today, live on KUM's Facebook page, to get more clear answers on the exact future testing capabilities of the CNMI hospital, and more about the contact tracing and persons under investigation. So that's what we'll be working on later today.
Tomas, man, that is a mic drop is really not the best way to describe it, but these cuts, these are huge, and this is going to ripple throughout the community. What are affected people saying?
There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of frustration, and it's there's just no words to capture what the community's feeling here in terms of not only just the real impact of COVID, but also on the economic front. If we're being told to stay home, and folks are feeling not going to be able to put food on their table.
So people are going to find out today who's on this list?
Yeah, according to the letter yesterday, the list is the governor will be meeting with the different heads, and we'll be going through that list as well. And we know that the public school system also is expected to announce some cuts today, though that isn't clear. How many? I know the last report I saw out of the Department of Labor is that 4,000 private sector employees are currently unemployed in the CNMI, but we don't have the full numbers for the after this happens. We hope to provide more, but also speak to those impacted and hear their experience.
Tomas, I read that letter, and it just made me think about what we're going through here on Guam. Is that the governor in her press conference yesterday had one of the justifications she has for not providing local assistance with local funds is that she needs the money that she's sitting on to continue to run the government, to provide public services that are essential, and to keep paying the government of Guam non-essential employees who will continue to earn a full paycheck. And so in looking at what the CNMI has done, yes, it's drastic, and I don't think we need to do that on Guam, but I'm just wondering, do we need to start planning ahead? Because, people are whispering about how long we can sustain our own economic status. So I thought it was interesting that the CNMI governor, say what you will, this is a decision that I'm pretty sure
was not easy to make.
Was definitely not easy to make, but, you guys were dealing with your finances before COVID-19 hit with you two and everything with the casino, and it's just tragic, and I only hope that our governor can look to your governor and figure out if we need to start doing things like a 72-hour paycheck, because Lord knows we don't have a lot of money, and it's going to be really bad when we hit a payless payday.
Yeah, and I also asked about how this all plays into the real health response that has to happen during this coronavirus. It takes money to run the quarantine facilities and do all of those protocol. And I asked the governor's office about a week ago about this, and they said the CNMI's revenue since February has been at a standstill and they're working with the legislature and the CNMI judiciary to divert little existing funds into first responder work. And so I think, having planned to speak with the CEO of the hospital later this week, taking a look at how, this is also, the economy is also a public health issue in the case of being able to support, the efforts of containing the virus as well.
I did want to ask you about, there was a video that was on the governor's Facebook page last night related to retirees?
Yeah, that's correct. He sent a message to the CNMI government retirees in the public school system, explaining what has manifested in the past few days for his decision to suspend the retirees 25% from the government. And that's, of course, because the CNMI public school system's 3 board members filed that injunction to ask the court that they should pay the public school system's full 25% total revenue from the budget, which is mandated, by the letter of the law. So he in that video, I think it was about 7 minutes, released in both Chamorro and English. He was talking about how he, the way it was painted, it was either the retirees or the public school system. So I know a lot of people in the public have complicated feelings about that, and a lot of people are asking why not, why not? It's not a us versus them, but that was a very pointed letter, seeming to blame the public school system for asking for that money.
Wow, you got a lot going on over there.
Yeah, and you're also going to school.
Exactly.
Well, this is all. No one is a. A lot of people around the world are saying this doesn't necessarily discriminate. So everyone's being impacted, and it's really just the hope that people can get support both in their health and finances during this time. I think that's not a irrational thing to ask for.
And the grab and go is that's been cut, and so I mean, man, what type of assistance is available there in the CNMI? Tomas, have we come to that point yet where your governor is telling people to apply for food stamps?
Yes, we do know that. Well, he didn't say that specifically, but we do know that SNAP is still running, and they're doing some processes there. But I've also, I mentioned a week ago, I'm talking to some of the nonprofits, and they're just inundated, especially now. And there's also a real question of if they're passing this from person to person, passing aid directly, how to manage that, the crowds that might be coming or have already came to their sites for food and other assistance. So hoping to get more on that. And I think Adriana was sharing with me there might be a house session later today in the CNMI, but we'll see if that happens and if we can see it. I'm not sure if this is if this is an official one or not, but there's going to be some sort of meeting. We just hope to get any word from the legislature. I know we haven't heard from them other than what they share online right now.
Right. Okay, Tomas.
Thanks, Tomas. We'll be
we'll be in touch, definitely.
Right, plus he has the 11 o'clock interview with Esther Munoz, the CEO of the Commonwealth Health Corporation.
Okay.
It'll be streaming on our social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Tomas. Wash your hands.
Thanks, you too.
Stay safe.
Okay, all right. 743, Guam's favorite containing COVID. Can we go over, I just got a comment here. Hey, Chris, do you know if Dr. Cabrera's projections include the military's cases? They don't.
No,
they don't. Yeah, and I don't know the reason. I think it might just be as simple as they started working on those projections before this whole Roosevelt thing happened.
And I think somebody actually asked Rear Admiral John Manoni during the press conference about their trajectory, and he said he wasn't a numbers man, something like to that extent.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have. They're not included in our numbers.
Okay,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Did you want to run something?
Yeah. So here's Admiral John Manoni. He was asked about the trajectory and the 173 COVID-19 cases on the Roosevelt and his thoughts on that.
I'm extremely pleased with the logistics effort. And remember, there are some significant challenges here in the Marianas Island that I don't think maybe are known as widely as they should be. One of them is it's a 12-hour flight from